Good morning, everyone. Ooh, this is a weird light cross. The light's too bright up in here. I'll never be awake for this. Good morning. Hi, y'all. It is Stacy. You're loving my veteran. Walking in my shoes this morning. I'm actually almost on time. Yay. Get ourselves started, grab some coffee, and have a wonderful, wonderful day. Because that's always what works best for us. Mm. Best part of waking up. All that, and I get to wake up next to my veteran every morning, so that's always helpful. So I'm gonna have another sip of coffee, wait for a few people to pop in here because I'm earlier than usual for me, which is pretty amazing. Um, One of them days. I've got multiple screens on, so it's doing that as usual. Okay. Well, let me get started. And I guess most of you have been watching the replay here because we're not getting a whole lot going on quite this morning. Um, we had a great boot camp last night. Boot camp was phenomenal. For those of you who missed boot camp, it was wonderful. Um, Such good insight, such good opening up of people's hearts and their minds. It was truly, truly amazing to be part of boot camp last night. And to hear other women share their stories, I think, and other spouses and family members share their stories and understand that, as Sunny put it, good morning, Pamela, we are, everybody has PTSD. We all kind of go through it with our veterans, but it's kind of like a little common ground, but we're all different. And I think that was the one thing we all took from that last night is that we are kind of all different. And why everybody's version of what we live through. Good morning, Jen. We have we have our moments. Um, we all have our differences too. And even as far as PTSD affects us in our relationship. Good morning, Stephanie. Y'all people all here. Jen's here. I got coffee. I was just telling about how good boot camp was because I thought boot camp was spectacular last night. The breakout rooms were nice. It was nice to get to talk to people and really have some one-on-one. So it was great. But the one thing that I think I've learned, and I keep meaning to get back to this, and I spend so much time talking about, well, you're a veteran this, and got to look at it from their side and whatever is, what's your story? Good morning, Kim. Good morning, Sarah Kim. What's your story? What is your story? If somebody said to you, "Hey, can I want to know about you? I want you to tell me what about you in your life matters. Could you write your own story? Could you write your story that didn't say, my husband has PTSD? Could you write a story about you that says, didn't mention the fact that you're a wife? Could you write a story about you that didn't mention you were a mother? Could you write a story about you that didn't mention you were somebody's child or somebody's employee? Could you write a story about you?" I think it was Tiffany Smiley who asked us to do that. One of the things we were in. What is your story? So the thing was is to pick a date, any date in your life, and say, okay, from this date right now to here, this is my story. This is me. This is who I am. This is what defines me. Not the role you play. Good morning, Amanda. Not the role you play in somebody else's life. Who are you? Can you write that story? And when you sit there and you think about it, and I was like, oh, I need you to do a bio. First time I ever did a podcast, somebody wanted a bio, and I'm like, a bio? What the heck? I mean, how do you write about yourself? That's one of the hardest things you'll ever have to do is write your own biography. Like, write a bio about yourself, and you're like, well, I'm me. Who's me? Could you tell your story and not be somebody else? So, what is it about you that gives you value? If we don't know who we are, and we don't know who we really are, then all we do is keep changing like a little amoeba to fit into a void somewhere where we're needed. We fit into a role where we're needed. Okay? We can't, when you don't know who you are, you lose who you are. And so you have to be able to write your story. You have to be able to tell your story. What is your story? I can tell you part of Stephanie's story. Stephanie is an amazing, loving, kind person who has a big heart, who vomits a little much because she wants to get her point across, and would give her heart and soul to somebody who needs her. That'd be the beginning of Stephanie's story. See, because that's who she is. That's good morning, Melissa. That's the Stephanie I know, and that is the beginning of her being able to write her story. What makes her be that way? What is it that gives her that drive? What is it that gives her that passion? What is it that gives her that ability? Can you write your story? And your story isn't all good either. Okay, because your story can start out having bad moments in it. A lot of times people's stories comes from them being a victim. You can be a victim of sexual assault or abuse or whatever, and that moment changed your life forever, and that's when your story, when your new story of your life where it is now starts. But you can't get so lost, and we do this, we get so lost in being something else for somebody else that we lose who we are. You got to be able to tell your story. You have to be able to tell your story. What is your story? What gives you passion? What makes you happy? What is the good in you? You know, I sit here all the time and I'm telling you, look for the good in the day. Look for the good in your bedroom. Look for the good in the moments. Look for the goodness. No, first place you need to look for the good is in the mirror at yourself. Where is your good? Where is your good? I started watching Grace and Frankie on Netflix. Absolutely love it. Absolutely love it. And so it has, Jane Fonda's gotten old, and Lily Tomlin, and so Jane Fonda's character Grace, I watched it last night when we got done. Jane Fonda's character Grace she's in her 70s, and she's going to date a younger guy, and she never wants him to sleep over because she never wants him to see her with her hair extensions out and without the makeup and without the fake eyelashes. She wants to be the made up version of what she projects to the world. And so the part of the thing is that they were getting more serious. And so he wanted something more. And he's younger than she is, and he had dated younger women. And she's like, no, you don't want this version of me. And he said, what version? And so she pulls off her eyelashes, right? She throws her hair extensions out. She turns around and gets her little makeup remover out of her purse and wipes her makeup off and has an ice pack on her knee. And she goes, and by the way, my knee hurts. I'm supposed to be using this, and shows McCain. And she says, is this the version of me you want? He said yes. And I think that there's times that the version of us that we portray to the world is the version of us with the hair done, the makeup on, whatever we need to do. Do we show the world the version of us without the makeup? Do we show the world the version of us without the hair extensions? Do we show that version? Do you know who that person is? That's become so important in understanding who you are, because remember, you can't be good for you if you're not good for anybody else. But how can you be good for you if you don't even know who you are? What's your story? Where's your story? What is good for you in your story? You have to be able to write that story. And that's so important that we learn to write this story. Take a couple of days, y'all. Write your story. It may take months. You're going to write your story the rest of your life. But sit down in the morning when you're having your coffee, grab you a piece of paper and say, I'm Stacy and this is who I am. Well, I mean, obviously you're not going to, I'm Stacy. You can be like, I'm Melissa, I'm Stephanie, I'm Sarah Kim, I'm Jen, I'm Pamela. And this is who I am. This is how I feel. This is what I love. This is what I do. This is what makes me happy. And I think back to things and I realized something really strange this morning when I was getting ready for this. I miss the smell of lilacs and lily in the valley. And I know that's weird. I mean, I live in Southeast Georgia, okay? So can I just put it to you this way? Lilacs and lily of the valley do not grow here. I'm just saying. But my Nana in Virginia, she had lily of the valley everywhere, which typically doesn't grow there either. Thing was is that lily of the valley was transplanted from my great granny's house in Minnesota, my mom's mom family, and brought to my dad's. They all brought it down. It was actually my dad's mom, and they planted a few little sprigs, and all of a sudden those things started growing wild. I mean, they were like wild, and I remember that, and I remember the lily of the valley, and I remember the stories behind them, and I remember my great granny talking about the lily of the valley, and I remember the smell of lilacs when we walked to sunrise service and stopping for a minute with my mama and my mom just to smell the flowers. That's part of who I am. Part of who I am is the lily of the valley and the lilacs. They make me happy. They bring me back to a place that makes me happy. They bring me back to a memory that makes me happy. How many times do we do that? How many times do you give yourself credit in a day for what makes you happy? We all know we have rights. We've talked about that. We all know we're allowed to have feelings. We've talked about that. But do you know the biggest thing you're allowed to be? You're allowed to be you. You are allowed to be you without any excuses or explanations. That's kind of a great thing. When you write your story, you are the author of your own story. Okay? You are that author of that story. You don't owe any explanations to anybody. You don't have to justify your life to anybody else. It's your story. It's your story. How many times have we watched a movie, especially sappy movies on TV, right? And we watched a movie and we're sitting here and we're like, ooh, I wouldn't have ended it that way. Well, that's how the writer wanted it to end. You know, think about even Romeo and Juliet. Did I really want them both to die? Thinking, no, they were supposed to ride off in the castle together and be forever, right? I mean, that was the deal. I'd be like, oh, well, did they have to die? You know, I can remember that. Did they have to die? But it wasn't my story to write. It was Shakespeare's story to write. I'm going to write my story, not anybody else. I'm the author of that. It's my journey. You have to know what your story is. Can you talk about it? What is, who are you? Who are you? Right? You don't owe people an explanation for anything. You have, those fall into those rights we have. But you write your own story. You know, everybody doesn't like chocolate ice cream. Some people like vanilla. Some people like peach. Some people like pistachio. Don't know why, but they do. Okay? It's uniquely you. And the fact that I don't have to like pistachio doesn't mean that I'm going to go in and protest that they take the pistachio almond out the darn store. I just choose not to buy it. It's my, because that's not what I want. I want this version. I want the real thing. And so we have to learn that not everybody's going to love us. Not everybody's going to like us. Not everybody's going to like our decisions. Not everybody is going to embrace our choices. Not everybody is going to support us. Not everybody's going to be behind us. Not everybody's going to tell us we're great. We're never going to please everybody all the time. The only person you have to please at the end of the day, and I'm a person on this planet, on earth, the only person you have to please at the end of the day is yourself, because the only person you are accountable to is to yourself. What is your story that does not involve pleasing everybody else? What's your story? We all have them. We just have to find them. We all have them. We just have to find them. Good morning, Nakia. I was hoping you had fallen off the planet. But writing your story is important. Knowing who you are is important, because I'm going to tell you something. We get lost. You know, people talk about like the sheep getting lost. And I don't know about y'all, but I lose my glasses. We lose the TV remote. We lose all kinds of things. I even lose my cell phone, and I'm not quite sure how I do that because I can't breathe without it. But in the bigger world, I lose myself more than I lose anything else. I lose myself. I used to. I not anymore. Not as much anymore. Almost not at all anymore. I don't lose myself anymore. Myself, it matters. And so that's where you have to be to go forward. You've got to be able to write your story. You've got to be able to say, I'm Nakia. She did that with Richard. She will tell you that was the changing point in her relationship. Sarah, you know who you are. You got to figure it out, baby. You know who you are when you get naked, get in front of that mirror, and look at yourself and say, this is who I am. You're figuring out how to put you in to all these other roles. Jen, same thing. You know who you are. You're trying to take you, and we don't realize that. Y'all do realize that. We don't know that we know who we are. But you do. You do. When you're not trying, you are sitting here and and you are accepting the fact that this is who you are, and you are not trying to please somebody else, and you are not trying to live your life for somebody else, and you are not trying to be a version of what somebody else wants you to be. When you get in that mindset, you know who you are. It's a hard thing to embrace. We all have best friends. I mean, Nakia's got a twin sister, for God's sakes. You can't get any closer than twin sisters. I don't find a new Stephanie, but I'm always upgrading. You pretty upgraded sister. She's got a twin sister. She shares a bond. Twins, and y'all, they about as maternal of twins as you can be. Identical twins as they can be. That is a bond that they say is shared, that unlike anybody else can ever have. You know, that because it truly comes from one egg being divided. But Nakia and Dakia are different people. When you look at them and you talk to them, when you first talk to them, it's really hard to figure out who's talking to you. They could have done it for me on the phone for a long time, and I wouldn't know which one I was talking to, but I do now. But they're different people. Nakia has her story. Dakia has hers. They are still individuals with their own story. And I think that you have to understand that. You have to become your best friend. Yes, we all have best friends. You know, y'all know I talk to Michelle every day. She's like my sounding board. I have a lot of very, very, very close friends. But at the end of the day, you've got to be your own best friend. You've got to be the person who makes yourself happy, and that's who you are. It is important that when you write your story, you write your story. Your story. Not somebody else's weird version. Your story. People don't have to like it. They don't. It's got to be you. Because you've got to be able to write your story, because when you're forever changing, and this is interesting. I'm not talking about like Stephanie is, where you are improving on what you have or getting better at doing something. But when you are always flip-flopping back and forth, oh no, I can't do this today, I'm going to do this, oh I don't like this, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this, this makes me mad today, I don't want this, I do want... People don't know who you are. You don't know who you are. You've lost yourself. How are people supposed to love you when you're flipping all over the place? Then we understand, oh, I'm so lonely, I don't have friends, and I got this, and I did it. I did it. Stop. At the end of the day, it's me. I wake up in my own skin every morning, and I go to bed in my own wrinkly skin every night. That's the person I'm stuck with 24/7. It may seem like that I'm stuck with Carl 24/7 at times. It may seem like I'm stuck with other people 24/7 at times. But at the end of the day, the person I'm stuck with 24/7 is myself. Period. You might as well learn to like them. Write your story. What about you is good? What about you is good? Because what we do is we let other people define who we are. Or we try to fit into somebody else's version of who we are. And when we do that, when we try to fit into somebody else's version of who we are, or let other people define who we are, we have this internal battle inside, and it doesn't help us, and it makes us feel less powerful and less worthy and less needful and less important. We're just what did my mama used to call it? The doormat. The doormat. Listen, you have a lot more friends than you know, baby. A lot more. But more importantly, you have to become your own best friend. You, and y'all please keep Elisa in your prayers. Um, they called hospice for a grandmother. So she's going through a lot right now. But you have to be your own best friend, sweetie. And I watch the roles. I watch the roles that we all go in and out of. And Stephanie's right. Once you get comfortable in your own skin and who you are, your life will get so much easier. It is. It is. Yeah, I'm 55 years old. I got wrinkles, lots of them. And I had to learn in my 50s that I could be comfortable like who I am in my own wrinkles and understand that at 50 and wrinkly was okay. I remember when I first met Carl because I lost a lot of weight, like a lot of weight. And I know that the number one thing I wanted was I wanted skin surgery. We were going to do skin removal surgery. I I had to do that. I was like, I have to do skin removal surgery. I went to the plastic surgeon. I was all ready. We were going to do this massive surgery. By the way, skin removal surgery is like a horrific surgery when you start talking about it. And when I got ready to go, and this is right before I met Carl, and I was still going to consults and we were getting it all worked out, and I remember them taking pictures of me, and I was mortified. Um, I had lost 180 pounds. There was a lot of skin. There's still a lot of skin. And we were talking about it, and Carl and I were talking about it one day that I needed to go to the plastic surgeon, and he said, "Why?" And I said, "Because I got to get rid of all this skin. It's horrible. It's ugly. It, it, it. I look disgusting. I'm disgusting in it." And he says, "I love you and every inch of your skin. And you are beautiful in every inch of your skin." And I think to hear those words made me realize all of a sudden that skin removal wasn't necessarily what I needed. $20,000 for new boobs. How much happiness is $20,000 worth of new boobies going to buy me? I'm telling you, I learned that I can go to Victoria's Secret, and for $49 a piece, I'll say you can get them even better than that, you can get what $20,000 will buy you. But I had to be comfortable in that skin. And that was the beginning of me learning to be comfortable. To be comfortable in my skin. That was me learning to be comfortable in my skin. You have to accept who you are. You don't have to be anybody else's friend. At the end of the day, when our life is over, we're not judged by the amount of friends that we have. We're judged on our own actions. You're judged on your own actions. You're judged on who you are, not how good of a mother you were, not any of this. You know, I go back and I'm watching the news, and there's the horrible murder thing with Gabby and Brian and whatever, and they're looking for this guy, and thinking he had part to do with this murder, and why I feel very sorry for Gabby's parents, because I do. I really feel for Brian's parents. How do you sit there and say, what did I do wrong that my child did this? What did I do wrong? Because you become this accountable thing. Like, hey, did I do this? Did I cause this? Did I do this? Was I the one who did that? Was I the one who caused that? What did I do wrong? Because the parents take ownership. I could have been better. I could have done this. I could have done that. And the reality is that they didn't do anything wrong. He is his own person. But we forget that because we think that our being and our validity and who we are is defined as being something else to somebody else. We're not. That was a hard thing to swallow, y'all. That was a hard thing to swallow. I was like, whoa, 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 whoa. Wait a minute, I'm the person you need. I'm the person you have to have. I'm the mom. I have to have this. I have to have that. No, I don't. I had to learn to like me. And there were some things when I learned to like me and was writing my story that I realized I didn't like about me. And then I got to change them because I can change the outcome of my own story. I have total control over that. I may not have control over the things that come into my life, but I still have control on how my story ends. It's my story. I'm writing. What's your story? Who are you? If you had to write your biography that did not mention your husband, your partner, your parents, your children, your job, what would your story say? What would your story be? What is your story? Everybody has a story to tell. And everybody's story is great because it's unique to them. And the great part about it is we control our own narrative. We control our own endings. We control all of that. Write your story. Tell your story. Realize your story is valuable. When you do that, and just like Stephanie said, your life will forever change. It makes it easier when you realize who you is. Who you is, who you are. I'm sounding like I haven't had much sleep. So that's where we are today. Again, we had an absolute amazing boot camp. They have a lot of homework. Learned a lot. We all learned a lot from each other. It was amazing what we learned in boot camp from each other. Getting excited going into next week when we're going to talk about self-care. And just, it was a lot of fun. Stephanie's going to do Wellness Wednesday tonight. Just a lot is always going on here. I'm going to pop off of here so I can write my story, which is if I don't get to the airport to pick my mother up to see her great-granddaughter, it could not be a good thing. My story might end very abruptly. So I'm going to go pick up my mom. And, well, Carl and I are going to go pick up my mom so we can take her up to see Hadley. So I want everybody to have a blessed day. Sarah, your life has been evolving around a lot of people, but there's a you in there, and we love that you. You need to find that you, baby. Find that you. All right? So y'all have a blessed day. I am Stacy. This has been Walking in My Shoes. We are loving my veteran. Have a blessed day. I will talk to you soon. Bye.